Anyways, hey, let's take some letters. What's going on?
If you want to send a letter into Castle Super Beast, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
All right.
What's our fault?
Okay. Well, a lot of people wanted to talk about deck building.
Oh, I specifically avoided talking about it during my week.
Okay.
Specifically. But
Well,
fine.
if we squeeze it
Get
in the
the
letter section,
get the good one. Get the
okay.
one
I
good email that came in.
I can't promise that this is the good one, but it
Oh, it's
is.
not.
It appears to be the introduction of the topic at the very least.
Damn it.
Hey guys, Zoidberg here. Writing in advance, living in a different time zone. Yada yada yada. Bullet points. I was watching Pat's stream where he was playing One Step from Eden and Slay the Spire. Tried to understand where the fun is in those deck building games. He tried to understand.
That's me.
When talking about card games, he said that it was mostly not net decking and playing with a complete optimized deck that I guess was
That's
fun.
correct.
So this tells me that Pat just doesn't enjoy building decks, and that's fine. To me, deck building games are fundamentally different from a CCG, however.
Mm-hmm.
In CCG, deck building is a process you go through before you start playing the game, and you need to make the most optimal deck with the cards that are available. To
Mm-hmm.
play, then you play, you make some adjustments, and you play some more. Some players that like gameplay, some players like that gameplay loop. Others are net decking and skipping it. It doesn't change much. You still get to play the game that everyone else plays. In
Mm-hmm.
deck building, all the cards are available to the player, but hidden behind some kind of resource that you have to earn during the game. All decisions are made about what type. Oh, and decisions made about what type of player, what type of deck the player is going to build. Cards that are you being given, etc. Are again, you have to be earn those things. The more you play, the more you can feel what the decks and cards are good at and how they work together. You can still net deck in a sense, and in that you can read up on certain card combos and stuff that you might get in a run, but sometimes the thing you're looking for might never show up.
Mm-hmm.
Big thing that chat was crazy. You should
Yo,
not
those
take
motherfuckers was crazy.
you should not take every card. Pat clearly understands the probability of a deck. He just wants more moves. That's true in a sense. You get more moves, but uh, that after a while, your deck will be full of cards that don't work and straight up contradict each other. On the other hand, you should try. Should you try to take every card? You can experiment and try things because that's what those games are about. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can decide which ones you like and then how to combo them. It goes on and it gives instances of stuff where you like what you
So,
did led to a negative effect, but the end of it is I would recommend you play a traditional deck builder game as opposed to those ones like
mhm.
Star Realms was the name of the one given, and you can play competitive and co-op, and it might be something that suits what you want to have fun with. And then he even throws in TLDR in the form of a fighting game analogy by saying it's like Faust with the random items, and you're doing your
Yeah.
best with whatever random item you get. Sure.
So I'm gonna explain what happened. I was playing One Step from Eden, and One Step from Eden is kind of from like the Chain of Memories or Mega Man Battle Network mold, where your attacks are being dictated by a series of cards that you're gonna get and then rotate through at a pseudo random order. The mental stack problem that I ran into was you beat a fight in that game. Same thing with Slay the Spire as an
Hmm.
example. You beat a fight, and then it goes, "Hey, you want to pick from these cards?" And my brain goes, "Oh, cool! This is my reward for beating the fight.
Hmm.
I get to pick one of these." So I picked them, and 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 then I get to the end of whatever my run is, and I have like 75 fucking cards,
Hmm.
and it's a complete fucking mess. At which point the advice comes down: don't pick every card. And then my brain goes, got it. Deny every card possible and use your vanishes on your existing cards to get down to 2 cards total. And then I will always know what it is. But those cards
Yeah.
are weak. And I run into the same problem. And it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the issue was a level of extremities. But the bigger thing was uh, the Slay the Spire and One Step from Eden's like space inside the roguelike genre in terms of what do you mean I don't pick up my reward? And not necessarily like I'm aware that like Isaac or Gungeon or something would have like trap items
I was
that
gonna
are
say
just
Isaac. Yeah.
that are just like they're not just like bad for your build, like they're aggressively terrible
Yeah.
and you don't want them.
Some
I'm
Isaac
aware of that.
rewards. Yeah.
But the subtler distinction is even something good can be bad for you if it doesn't synergize with what you have, right?
Yeah.
And I spoke to somebody after that stream, and we went through the back and forth of it, and I'm not totally nuts, but the bigger issue was in fact actually a direct result of streaming it, because it was the first time I had sat down to play One Step from Eden. And in One Step from Eden, there's tons of cards. There's tons. It's a cool game. I don't know what 99.9% of them do. So in a situation in which I don't know what all of them do, I have to actually get all of them in order to know what they do.
Yeah.
And over a long enough period of time, I would hit some preferences.
Yeah.
But I didn't hit that point. So instead, I just kept ping-ponging between get every card, no, don't ever get every card.
Yeah.
Pick a focus, which I also didn't know because I didn't have the expertise. It's this interesting thing where like too much knowledge can make it so that you're unable to teach someone anything.
Yeah.
Like too much knowledge about any competitive thing can hit a point where you are trying to skip past somebody's formative learning, and then they just stall out because they can't get any basics down.
Yeah. If
I'm nuts, and I'm crazy.
Of course, we're moving past the obvious, where the beginning problem to begin with should not be a problem. And Isaac, if like you know, we talked about like pulling up the what that does stuff, and like seeing what the thing does and then making a decision is like it's you know, like it would be nice to like have the ability to just see it on screen and be like, okay, I'm informing my choice and I'll pick it up. That's one bit, but if we had chat yelling about what you should and shouldn't grab each time or whatever, that'd be a whole other story, right?
Isaac has a different thing. Like Isaac, you can do the mod that tells you what it is now. Yeah. You have to beat mom first. But it's crazy how much better of a game it is with that. I still can't believe it's not a default.
But there's more than you can ever memorize, right? The thing
Don't
with the
say that. Someone will now point out that no, I memorized it because I've been playing it since the Flash version. Okay, non-human.
Right. Now, the way that One Step from Eden is arranged is the reason why that game is set up in that way is because people who really fucking crushed the Mega Man Battle Network series wanted a Mega Man Battle Network style game that had a more like a unique twist to the gameplay kind of thing. Bring back Battle Network and add this aspect to it that's like
I was
different.
Described One Step from Eden is Mega Man Battle Network for people who Battle Network was not enough for.
Yes, that exactly, literally that. People who have played those games love them, miss them because it's been forever, and like it's like, oh shit, people who know what all that is about and want the next level of that. This is who it's for, right? So within that, you need to kind of look at these games, or you don't need to, but the least destructive way to enjoy these games is because I did this for Slay the Spire, and for I know you bounced off of it, but Fights in Tight Spaces really kind of got me. I
literally can't even tell you why I bounced off Fights in Tight Spaces.
That's fine. I you know, but like I really enjoyed like learning about what style I wanted to play in that game, and with you know, Slay the Spire, there's different characters that have different styles of you know, moves entirely. You do test runs that are take everything, try them out runs, right? This is a run that's explicitly going to be too many cards, but I'll get to feel out how the cards play with each other and what they kind of do uniquely and how useful they are. And then the like refining phase comes after you've already had a chance to play with it, you know? I mean, this applies to like fucking you can like yeah, with like Teppen as well and shit. Like there's that part where you do this beforehand or you don't, but you still get to just play the game.
Well, those is a different situation because
Yeah.
like deck building is a more important skill in that like, hey, did you build a terrible deck? Get ready to lose like 100 times in a row.
Right, right. You know, and when I was messing around with uh, uh what the fuck is it called? Whatever the Runeterra, you know, like yeah, same kind of thing where you whether or not you the you enjoy the building or you just want to grab from elsewhere, as long as you look at your cards and then decide how to play them, you can still play the game itself. But here it's as you go, you choose to discard some so that the odds get better. The odds get like that's really just about like after you've done that run where you've felt out how good and bad the cards are, you know. And in some cases it's like I don't know what this card is, but the description on it tells me it's going to let me go back to the deck and pick out what I want to pull in like Slay the Spire. So I don't care. I just want to end my combo with that so that I can go back and pull out the starting sequence again each time, you know? So you just need to be willing to do throwaway runs and then do real ones afterwards.
I think one of the funniest things that happened during that stream was something that's happening right now. Somebody asked me, "Have I ever played Magic: The Gathering?" And that was like because people are trying to find some kind of point of reference here, and I'm like, no. Did you ever play Pokemon? No. Did you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh? No. Did you ever play Hearthstone? Not really. Did you ever play Mega Man Battle Network? And this is the one that broke people, where I was like, I have never seen Mega Man Battle Network. And I was like, the only experience I have with Mega Man Battle Network is unlocking those terrible characters in fucking Onimusha Blade Warriors. That's my experience with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Have you played poker? Right.
Yeah, I have played poker.
Right. So then you're just looking at odds of things coming up, but you can't throw away a hand and you can't throw away cards in poker to like never ever get them again, right? Yeah, I think it is something of just like you have cards that are like often locked behind a condition in these games, and then you have some cards that are just excellent cards at all times, but the only thing stopping you from having one is that you've already used it. You know, so you just kind of go, oh, okay, well, much like Inscription kind of taught you, like, if I want my good shit coming back up, I'll have to discard the shit I don't want. And the mid stuff is, you know, anything mid is, like, questionable when you have something great that can, you know, replace it. So, yeah, don't think about it as a reward. Think about it as more options, you know? And then be willing to do a bad run so that you can come back in with a good one. The Faust analogy at the end of that like is funny because it's like yeah, you're getting random pulls of whatever Faust items are. You can't quite like specify this is the exact item you want. And then it's almost like, you know, through refining it you get Teddy has a set number of them and they can go in a certain order. But regardless, the idea of like if you get your best moves more often, it's you get your super every time. Yeah, that's good.
So I think the funniest part about this is the only deck building game I've ever played is Gwent in Witcher 3. Not its standalone version, but in Witcher 3. To which people say that's a deck builder. Why don't you just play it like that? That's not actually a good example because Witcher 3's version of Gwent, the best way to play that game is to use spy cards to horribly cheat. Because every time you throw down a spy card, you get to just take a bunch of cards from your opponent's deck and play them. And if they have spy cards, you can take their spy cards and play them to get more of their cards. And you just take everybody's cards and then just run the number up. And I'm like, I don't think anything in any other game is ever going to work like that. It's working like Pot of Greed does in the show.
It's I like it's a weird thing because more moves is fun and cool, right? That's why you spend your time unlocking them when you play as Dante and you buy more moves to do more cool things. and that currency is like how you enjoy the game more. But it's just, again, it's just a thing of like, are you willing to do a run that is a foregone loss in order to gather knowledge? Sure.
The other thing, and this was the mental barrier, which is not, am I ready to do a doomed run? I can do a doomed run. I do tons of them, right? I play roguelikes. The idea of like, I had one really good run of Slay the Spire when I played it, where I was playing a poison deck. And part of that was not accepting non-poison deck cards, right? Because I want poison. I want to do lots of poison. And the act of like succeeding for 5 encounters in a row and getting nothing makes me want to die. It's so fucking frustrating to be given like, hey, you want all these? No, I don't. Ugh, gross. Give me a thing.
So you just need more reward systems that besides like having options. You need progression, right?
Like,
so
like Walking Dead. This is a strange analogy, but silence is always an option. Fuck that. That sucks. That's stupid.
Well, the Silent Lee
Give me a fourth
playthrough
dialogue option.
is the weirdest non-thing. Yeah. But so in fights in tight spaces, you got card options, but you also have life, or you can go to a shop, or you can or not go to a shop. You can go heal. In Slay the Spire, you can go to a shop and buy stuff, buy different. So there's things where it's like, okay, let me build out. How many of this other peripheral stat or the orbs floating around my character in Slay the Spire or whatever the case is. You can reward yourself with those if you want. But the fun is mainly just trying to beat those hard bosses, right? Like, I don't know. It's just it takes a second to realize that like more moves does not necessarily equal better.
Yeah, it's just it's not about having lots more instantaneous rewards. Is that being given a choice and your choices are do nothing and save the same power or become actively weaker? That is not a satisfying choice to me.
So right? The first time,
that's just really frustrating.
The first time anybody back in the day used to get their hands on Mugen, when it wasn't just a thing you'd watch on Salty Bet or YouTube, people would start downloading characters and then go, hey, here's Ryu and Ken. Okay, let me get Kyo. Now let me get Terry. Now let me get... someone made Jin and Kazuya. That's sick in 2D. Wow. Okay, let me put all my favorite fighting game characters together. Great. Now you have a roster of 20 of those. And you're like, wait, they have everyone? And then you spend the next like couple of days putting every single fighting game character that you've ever heard of onto the same character select screen. And then this bloated beast of a game with 256 characters in it shows up where you can't even see the portraits on the select screen anymore. And then you're like, yeah, this game is awesome. It's got everyone in it. Every game should have everyone. This is my dream game. And then you start playing it and it sucks. And it feels terrible. And it's like it's like you can't wrap your head around any of it. And some things don't, like it just, there's too much going on.
You know what, man?
And you kind of like just end up being like, oh, okay, you know what? Let me get rid of this group of characters. They were actually pretty poorly made. And this group over here sucks. And then you pare that shit down, right? Now, make no mistake. Every time you go back to Marvel 2, that was the philosophy. And God bless them, that game needed to exist. There needed to be one. Throw it all in and see what sticks. Turns out there's fucking 7 characters. The rest are non-existent. But the going to the point of too far and then dialing it back is a feeling that, I think you get to when you first fuck around with Mugen. And that's kind of how it felt when I was like, my deck is, I can barely scroll through this thing. What am I doing? Why would I play like this? This thing needs this card setup, needs this trigger, but the trigger is 80 cards deep. I'll never get to it. That's bullshit.
Feel like an insane person, and I was planning to spare you from this nightmare. But
that's
you
okay.
Actually using Mugen just described in depth the exact design philosophy that led to today's Paladin rework in FF14.
Too much.
So no, it's that there's been an ongoing argument in that whole community as to whether or not you want all the classes to feel really different and work really differently, or be balanced within each other. Right? And so out of all the 4 tanks, Paladin got to be the weird one. It was the one with the long rotation. It was the one with this weird mechanic that none of the other ones had. It was this, it was that, and that's cool, except it was also bad.
Less is more.
And so today's rework goes, okay, let's trim off just this little fucking weird appendage just to make it fit in with the others, so that it's like viable. It's not like a throwaway spot, but it is gonna be a little bit more like the others. It is gonna be a little bit more homogenized, because people don't want their unique thing to also be bad. People don't like, Surfbot is wow, cool, Surfbot in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And what I see is a character that is fun for about fucking 10 minutes, and then you fucking get Surfbot off your team because he's a piece of shit. And I'm like, why couldn't a different Street Fighter character be there instead?
My favorite part about all of that is that I didn't bring up Yomi Hustle.
Yeah. Oh, you saw that. You saw that. Well, so the fun fact is, I still didn't actually. I'm still sitting on the rotational math over here, just in case.
Gotta do what you gotta do.